Nothing screams anti-black like the Dominican hair salon, but my thing is I will always pay for convenience. I do not care. If I have to deal with a little racism here and there, it is what it is. But this is me at the hair salon getting ready to get my hair blown out. I don't straighten my hair that often, but I really wanted to because I have this beautiful red color in my hair and I haven't seen it straight in over 2 years at this point. So I was really excited to see what it gave, what it looked like, and it was eaten so far. My thing with the salon is, although I'm not Spanish, you could never know if I was a Spanish speaking black person. Like, they were talking so much crap about me in the hair salon. She was saying that my hair was so hard in Spanish. She was telling me, like, talking to her other coworkers, like, letting them know how annoyed she was with my hair texture. Nothing screams anti-black like the Dominican hair salon. Nothing. But she's moving. Being a black girl can just be so difficult sometimes because it's either you have to deal with racism or you have to deal with the crazy rules of these new IG stylists. But at the end of the day, my hair came out cute, so I'm happy.
Normally, my hair is not calling like a good hair. So normally when you get like 15, they change your hair and you put it straight.
Y le digo yo, Lineisi, ven, vamos a hacerte un cambio de imagen a ti. Y ahí mismo le cortamos todo el cabello y le dejamos su afro natural. Y ella no se iba a imaginar que ese afro natural, con esa belleza, iba a ser realmente lo que la colocó en el mapa internacional de la moda. Lineisi hizo cosas para República Dominicana y para Latinoamérica sin precedentes, como por ejemplo en su primer season caminó para 67 desfiles, desde Nueva York, Londres, Milán y París. Este puesto de correcamino nunca lo había logrado una mujer negra, mucho menos una mujer latina, mucho menos una mujer étnica. Y Lineisi lo logró.
In a country of complex racial dynamics where straightened hair is a social currency and billboards depict curly-haired women with the headline, "Your hair deserves better." Natural or curly hair, colloquially referred to as pelo malo, bad hair, also a term used in the Black American community, is sometimes viewed as a marker of Haitian identity. It all stems from a strict hair culture in the Dominican Republic, where young women can actually be sent home from school or work if their hair isn't worn in the quote-unquote preferred way. Women with untreated natural hair can even be barred from some public and private spaces. Delmis Beaches is a mother and attorney at law in Santo Domingo, Dominican Republic. She received a call from her 11-year-old daughter, Amara Mia Belmarte, explaining why she was denied access to her regularly scheduled classes at Ciudad Juan Bosch Elementary School. That day, she walked into school with 90% of her hair cut off. It was natural, Iches told BET. When I got to the school, they demanded I cut Amara's hair even more because the way it was currently styled called too much attention. Iches and her daughter together refused to oblige, which sparked the then Director of Gender Equality and Development at the Ministry of Education, Marianela Penales, to issue a natural hair PSA celebrating Black hair. The flagrantly suspicious firing of Penales thereafter was followed by national protests championing Afroed hair and demanding federal legislation ban hair discrimination in both public and private schools around the island.
Is it just me, or when you go to get your hair like blown out, specifically when I go to the Dominicans, it be like so straight to where it's just like, girl, I hope when I wet my hair, it revert back. Cause they get it like silky straight, like sometimes a little too straight. Like I like when I go to my lady because my hair still be like big. I have very thick hair, but when the Dominicans do it, baby, it's like they suck the thickness out of it, and it's just like, whoa, is it gonna revert back? When I go to my lady, my hair still be thick and flowy, but like I don't know, it's like they kind of take the thickness out of it. But I mean, after day like 2 or 3, my hair goes back to the thickness. But on the first day, like today, I'll be like, girl, now if my hair don't revert back, when water hit it, it's gonna be a problem.
What's up, everyone? It's Books and Looks TV. Today, I would like to examine natural hair and anti-Blackness, also known as texturism, via the Dominican Republic and the hairstyle, the Dominican blowout. Why is this hairstyle so popular, and why is there an emphasis on its to straighten natural kinky hair. I like to also add that I don't believe every Dominican is anti-Black, even if they wear this hairstyle. There are a host of people who are fighting against colonial beauty standards, etc. I just want to discuss like the overall anti-Blackness and the DR, and how I do believe that this hair straightening preference has a lot to do with like anti-Blackness. So first, I think it's important to start with what the Dominican blowout is. So a Dominican blowout is the method of straightening hair, and it basically originated in the Dominican Republic. The process has several steps: shampooing and conditioning, rolling, blow drying, and wrapping. This is a temporary hair treatment that lasts 1 to 4 weeks or until the hair is exposed to water. Though this may seem like mere hair maintenance, I think it is important to look at the history of the DR and the anti-Blackness, hence why this technique, in my opinion, is often performed and popularized. So anti-Haitianism is deeply embedded in the DR. Haitians, and more generally people of African descent, have been stigmatized in the Dominican Republic, as in other countries in the Western Hemisphere, since the arrival of enslaved Africans in the 16th century.
Anti-Haitianismo describes the deep-seated prejudice, racism, and hatred of Haitians and people of Haitian descent by Dominicans. You can't generalize for an entire population and say all Dominicans hate Haitians. In fact, there are some Dominicans that are fierce supporters of Haitians. But there has been a socially shared prejudice and racial bias against Haitians that have left Haitians in the Dominican Republic subject to vulnerabilities, discriminations, and violence. There's anti-Haitian rhetoric in everyday talk, media, and Dominican textbooks. There are racist policies like the one that stripped Dominicans of their citizenship if they had Haitian ancestry. There are bloody murders like the ethnic cleansing led by the dictator Trujillo. But where does this animosity come from? In the 1800s, the DR was a target of Haiti's aggressions. From 1801 to 1802, Toussaint invaded the DR and took control of the Santo Domingo port. Again, 1805, Haiti invades the DR, and this time it was bloody. Haiti gains their independence, and France persists with threats of reinvading and taking Haiti's freedom. This is possible because France is still on the island. They have control of the Dominican Republic. 1805, the French governor of Santo Domingo, Jean-Louis Ferrand, he authorizes people to go into Haiti and take Haitians, make them prisoners, bring them back to the DR into slavery. Haiti responds with bloody vengeance. Haitian troops invaded, burned down cities. They killed Dominicans, black, white, mixed, and they even went to the degree of killing children. On April 8th, there was the Moca massacre, where they beheaded 40 children in a church in the DR. 1822, Haiti invaded the DR once more, and this time they're successful because Dominicans wanted the Haitian occupation. Haiti was seen as a military powerhouse that offered security and resources. Also, Boyer offered the abolition of slavery once and for all in the Dominican Republic. Boyer mismanaged resources, redistributed land, heavily taxed Dominicans, forced Dominicans to work on plantations through the rural code. He eliminated cultural pillars like cockfights and forced Dominicans to speak French. He decreased the amount of religious festivities. Dominicans really resented Haitians, and this lasted past the 22 years of the occupation. 200 years later, the resentment has only grown.
So knowing this, I wondered how natural hair was deemed as negative and probably had a huge influence on the popular Dominican blowout. Those who desire a Dominican blowout is usually because they know it will get their hair boned straight, which typically wearing straight hair isn't bad, but knowing that many Dominicans have a questionable ideology towards African features, well, let me just continue. So there's a sociologist named Janetta Candelario, and she explains, at the most banal level, a beauty shop is where women go for beauty. But as Willie Coleman evocatively notes, at beauty shops, quote, lots more gets taken care of than hair, end quote. The degrees, types, and technologies of artifice and alteration required by beauty are meditated by racial, sexual, class, political, and geographic cultures and locations. Thus, beauty shops can be considered as sites of both cultural and identity production. Some have argued that if the female body generally has been subjugated or subjected to externalization of the gender self, the explicitly racialized female body has been subjected to exile from the self. With the rise of global colonialism, slavery, neocolonialism, and imperialism, African origin bodies have been stigmatized as unsightly and ugly, yet simultaneously and paradoxically as hypersexual. So when I hear this quote from someone who is of Hispanic descent, more than likely Dominican descent, and a sociologist, I think that it makes sense how Black women are viewed as ugly, or any traces of Black women, even if you're a mulatto. I like how she also acknowledged that how, like, at beauty parlors, you kind of understand how people expect you to move through, like, social dynamics. So there was a Black American who actually went to the Dominican Republic, and she talked about how she was so excited to go there, but when she went there thinking she would escape racism, she realized there was a lot of it there in the notes, I guess you could say, of colorism. So she pretty much said that while she was there, she was wearing her natural afro, and people were screaming at her in Spanish that she should fix her hair. And she says, as a Black American from the South, I initially and perhaps naively thought I'd catch a break from the daily racism I experience in the U.S. As with Black Americans, there are Dominicans and Haitians of every shade. I welcome the idea of living in a country where most people look like my family, members, and me. As 90% of the Dominican population has Black ancestry, however, it wasn't long before I encountered a familiar yet foreign racism. While I realize that experiences vary and my story is one of many, it is certainly not the exception. Whether in the form of racial slurs or extreme violence, both Haitians and dark-skinned Dominicans alike confront racism on a daily basis. After continuously feeling like a walking target with my sizable pajon, I decided to carry hair ties for the days that the taunts became unbearable. I arrived in Santiago, Dominican Republic as an English professor 1 month before Sentencia 168-13, a Supreme Court ruling that revoked the citizenship of Dominican residents whose parents were born outside of the country as far back as 1929, unless they could regularize their status. In the months that followed, lynchings of Haitians became more frequent. According to media reports, Black American friends that had come to study abroad were harassed and interrogated by police about their nationality. After my friends explained that they were Americans studying abroad, the officers scoffed at them, laughing that "Esa se cree Americana, pero es Haitiana." This one thinks she's American, but she's Haitian. Even my Dominican host sister, whose surname was French in origin, encountered complications with government agencies that questioned her Dominican identity. I began to realize that the recurring treatment my colleagues and I were receiving was probably a result of intensified anti-Haitianismo following the Supreme Court ruling. Most of my fellow U.S. English professors condemned the ruling, though others viewed it as the Dominican Republic exercising its sovereign right to regulate immigration within its borders. Some of my Dominican and Haitian students criticized the ruling as discriminatory, while others adamantly defended the court's decision. However, few dared to denounce it as racist. So Cardi B is a mulatto and has kinky hair she got kinky hair. So, and she was born to a Dominican father and an Afro-Trinidadian mother and grew up in the South Bronx neighborhood of New York City. She said that there's a misconception about the hair textures of Black women who have mixed heritage and opened up about her hair care routine a topic that she has been documenting on her Instagram story, Hair Day. She says, being mixed don't mean your hair is always long and curly. That wasn't my case, she wrote. Sharing a photo of herself with an afro as a child, she has discussed how she was treated as a performer on Latin nights at the strip club. Basically, she was saying that they was telling her she didn't look Spanish enough. Cardi B, she's not somebody I'm saying is Afro-Latino. Please don't think that. Cardi B is, again, I think she's like mixed like a lot of Dominicans, but sometimes her hair and her saying the N-word, people get confused.
Like, my competitive instinct is up there. Yeah, I know my hair's fucked up and everything, but you know what I'm saying? Like, this ain't fucked up here. You know what I'm saying? This natural here. Like, this is not nappy here. Like, the society got us thinking this nappy here. This is not nappy here. This is fucking natural, strong hair that could stand under the sun and you could get into a fight and it's still gonna be there. Hey, get out of my way.
But someone who is, I feel like, obviously a Afro-Latina or Afro-Dominican is the Mera La Negra.
What are you?
Huh?
Like race-wise.
Oh, okay.
What am I?
Yeah, like, what are you? No, I'm Dominican. Well, born and raised in Miami. My parents are Dominican, and I am obviously an Afro-Latina. So yes.
That turned
so
into a
both your
huge
parents
deal.
are Dominican?
Yes, both of my parents are Dominican.
Right.
My mom still don't know no English, a little bit. We're working on that.
So what is an
And-
Afro-Latino? I thought that was half black, half something else.
That's what I thought it was too. I thought it was half
Latino.
black, half Latino.
Well, the thing is that how we see black here in the United States is different. You think black, you think African American.
Right.
See, for us in Dominican Republic, because we're all Dominican, you only have but to say you're black.
I thought Dominicans didn't really mess with black and Puerto Ricans. I thought they didn't want to be black and they didn't want to be Puerto Rican. And they didn't
Well,
wanna be
because
Haitian,
if you're Puerto Rican, then that's what you are, and if you're Dominican, that's what you are. So
Puerto Rico's in the United States.
you wanna rep
I know,
what you
but-
are or
Right.
where you
Gotcha.
come from. So that's pretty much what it is. I don't know how it be out here, but in Miami, everybody's pretty cool.
You know,
you can
remember we
always
had
just say you're a
Dasha
Latino
Polanco
with
up
an
here.
afro.
Yeah, I can say I'm Latino. I'm Latina.
With an afro.
Even if I had an afro, I didn't have an afro. I mean, I'm still Afro-Latina because I come from African descent. So that's what it is.
So she has proudly worn her natural hair and has described colorism and general anti-blackness. Mera La Negra was born in Miami to Dominican parents. Her mother came to America after crossing the Mexican border. Amera has a fuller-than-life personality and is proudly black. While on the show Love and Hip Hop Miami, she has discussed how some people reject her as Dominican for having dark skin. Her afro and name, I'd say, adds to her persona. Yet a lot of people question if her afro was a wig or natural hair, and she ended up defending herself.
Yo sé que duele, pero tiene que aguantar.
Oh, mom.
Porque
Para los habla baba, estoy aquí en el proceso ya de regresar a mi pajón, a mi afro. Mami, pero no sea tan duro, vieja. Come on.
I think it's weird for people to insinuate that she wouldn't wear her natural hair. And honestly, if it wasn't her hair, I wouldn't be that bad because people wear wigs a lot that doesn't even look like their texture. Anyways, Amira went on to say, is my afro real? Yes. And then she says, I naturally do have an afro. Do I use extensions? Yes. I use extensions to enhance what I already have. It's hard to keep a perfect afro 24/7. And so people went on to like talk crap about her in tweets, but that's what people do. Skin color and facial features, conversely, are less pliant or not easily altered. That Dominicans have equated whiteness both with low Indio and ethno-racial identity based on identification with the decimated Taino natives of the island. Hispanicity affirms the ethno-racial distance between Dominicans and Haitians, an organizing principle in Dominican national imaginary since the rise of the state. Dominican hair salons are famous or perhaps notorious for being able to tame even the kinkiest of kinks into a slick, straightened mane. Hairdressers pride themselves on being able to remove any traces of African ancestry from their own hair and that of their client. So this woman goes on to talk about like her experience, like growing up at the shop while her mom was a hairstylist. And she says, I grew up watching 3 women work on one Black girl's hair. tugging and pulling at her curls until what was left was limp and straight. Despite priding themselves on being able to handle all kinds of hair, I also saw women getting turned away because their hair was deemed as unmanageable, too hard, as they like to say at these salons. So now I'm going to play some public opinion and then I'm going to conclude.
You know, people's loyalty to anti-Blackness prevents them from enjoying really amazing things, like the fullness of their humanity. I learned as an adult that the Dominican accent, the Cuban accent, the Puerto Rican accent is degraded due to their hatred of the Africanization of the Caribbean. This shocked me actually because I think the Dominican accent is so beautiful. They sound like they're singing to you. Who doesn't want to be sung to? Like, what? Like, and it's also unfair. You don't hear people saying that the Spaniard accent sounds like they're on a megaphone and it's like nails on a chalkboard. You don't hear people saying that. You don't hear people saying the Colombian Paisa accent sounds like they're begging and crying 24/7. And who wants to hear that in their ears? You don't hear people saying that. So be for real right now. There is no proper way to speak a language. Language is ever evolving and dependent on the space and the people and the land and what's taken place during that time. And so even within one country, you're going to have various accents, various dialects. And keep in mind, when we're talking about Spanish or Castellano, we're talking about Castilian supremacy, Castilian hegemony. Even in the country of Spain, there are various languages and dialects and people and ethnicities. Not everyone speaks Castellano as their mother tongue or dominant language. Actually, you can give up your loyalty to anti-Blackness starting today.
So I'm Dominican, and growing up, my mom was dead ass one of those Dominicans that was like, me no black, papi, me no black. She bleached her skin, relaxed her hair, only wear sewing. You can say nigga, but God forbid you wear a do-rag outside. Like, my black ass family hated being black. You know what that meant? I could not wear my curly hair out. I couldn't do braids like everybody else. I couldn't wear my curls like everybody else. It had to be straightened and relaxed. And my mom was a celebrity hairstylist, so she had no problem beating my ass in that chair. She had no problem giving me chemical burn and giving me excessive heat damage. She didn't let me go natural up until I was 13. And she also tried to bleach my skin. She advocated enough for me to get a nose job. She said that she wanted to save enough for me to get a nose job so I can look less black. Now here I am today, embracing the fuck out of my blackness. Now I'm 18. Who the fuck is gonna tell me no? For any kids going through what I went through, where your parents don't let you explore your creativity, don't let you embrace your sexuality, don't let you embrace your own culture, do that shit behind their back and never stop doing what you love to do. And definitely educate yourself on the ignorance that's riddled in your family. You know the saying, ignorance is bliss. Not everybody has the guts to stand up for what they believe in, risk their safety or their sanity. One thing I am letting you know is to continue creating, continue loving yourself, and don't let anybody ever stop you.
Anti-black Dominicans, Dominicans who deny their blackness, came for me in the comment section. And as you can see, they want to be associated to the colonizer and not the slaves. They want to be associated with Europeans and not Africans. And even the white people in the Dominican Republic are the smallest minority, they still want to be associated with Europeans. And the funny thing is that everybody that was commenting is closer to being black than white. And that hurts them. This Empire King guy with the Dominican flag goes to every single video that talks about blackness in the Latin community to basically say the same thing he was saying in my comment section. Like 100 comments just by him and another girl that is also a Dominican, a black Dominican in denial. Average Dominican is way more than 50% European. You're not even a quarter. Dominicans, the average Dominican is not 50% European. We have our own country and we don't have to fit to be embraced or accepted like African Americans in the United States. Haitians are literally our brothers. I have no Haitian sibling. Because in the video I said that Haitians are literally our brothers. We share a fucking island. And this girl, Quisqueya, come on, that's what we call our country. And her username is Quisqueya. You can see where I'm going with this one. The answer is simpler than that, but you want to turn it on Dominicans for clout like you always do. I have like 100 other comments from her too, denying her blackness. And she even mentioned something about me being racist towards Mexican and Haitians at the border when I was clearly defending them. I defend Haitians from whatever atrocities are committed against them in the Dominican Republic. And yes, that doesn't make me any less Dominican. I just accept the facts the way they are, and I acknowledge when something is wrong, even if it's the country that I was born in and that I grew up in. something apparently they cannot do because apparently that makes them less patriotic. As you can see here, the majority of Dominican people identify as mixed race, which includes mestizo or indio and mulatto. A smaller percentage of Dominican people identify as black and even a smaller percentage as white. And as you can see, only a small percentage of Dominican accept their blackness. The other ones are black, but they just don't identify as such because they are a little bit lighter than the Dominican that identifies as black. But the fact that they decide to reject their blackness does not mean that they are not black and does not mean that our country is mostly black. And I'm gonna make another video to talk more about history and why there's this anti-blackness in the Dominican Republic, where I don't have to cite all of these racist Dominicans who are denying their blackness, because honestly, it's tiring. But I'm tired of Dominicans and Latin people denying our African roots.
Is it just me, or when you go to get your hair like blown out, specifically when I go to the Dominicans, it be like so straight to where it's just like, girl, I hope when I wet my hair it revert back. Cause they get it like silky straight, like sometimes a little too straight. Like I like when I go to my lady because my hair still be like big. I have very thick hair, but when the Dominicans do it, baby, it's like they suck the thickness out of it, and it's just like, whoa, is it gonna revert back? When I go to my lady, my hair still be thick and flowy, but like I don't know, it's like they kind of take the thickness out of it. But I mean, after day like 2 or 3, my hair goes back to the thickness. But on the first day, like today, I'll be like, girl, now if my hair don't revert back, when water hit it, it's gonna be a problem.
It was not doing this. Those who don't hear.
So let me explain to you guys how I ended up here. I decided to go to the Dominicans because I wanted a silk press and a trim. I wanted my hair to be healthy. So I was like, let me just go get rid of these dead ends and at the same time leave with my hair feeling silky and smooth, period. First of all, she was going to town with this brush. Let me just say that. And this was my hair immediately after the fact. And I was feeling myself very much dark and lovely. Maybe it's Maybelline. You could not tell me anything after I left that salon, period. My hair was voluminous. 2 months later, and this is me now.
I understand that hair and all that kind of stuff, but this is crazy. The more I brush, the more that comes out. So much of my hair is coming out, it's scaring me. Which, no, it's normal. This is normal.
Well, the delusional in me was showing real bad because that is not normal. Y'all, my hair felt like straw. It felt like dry cotton. No conditioner would help. Literally nothing would help. My hair is fried rice. Like, my hair is my hair is burnt rice. You know the burnt rice at the bottom of the pot that people be eating? That's what my hair is. And I should have listened. So if this isn't a prime example of those who don't hear and must feel, then I don't know what is.
Y'all know my biggest pet peeve? A hairstylist that is not transparent. Hear me out. I called the Dominican salon yesterday to get a cut, not a trim. The lady was like, okay, that's $20. Not 20 plus. Now I get it. I live in Atlanta. She had to blow me out a little bit, but I came with my hair already washed and straightened. It was a little frizzy, but not to the point where you had to do all the flat ironing and carrying on. Do you know I got to that register and she said $70? This ain't even that place. And I'm looking at her and I'm like, I'm sorry, did I just hear you correctly?
Actually done wearing my hair in public, because if I get humiliated.
To say I felt this video to my core would be an understatement. I love my hair down, don't get me wrong. But I don't know what it is with people's brains, but when they see really big afros, really big curly hair, all common sense just leaves. I get asked on a regular basis, do you wash it? Can you even brush it? Is that a wig? I've had people sneak pictures of me and my hair. People ask me to my face if they can take a picture of me with my hair because they've never seen it before. It is so incredibly humiliating to be in a crowd of people, especially at my job, to be doing my job and then all heads turn towards me because someone asked me, is that a wig? Can I touch it? It feels like a weird spectacle and I do not like it. If I ever shave my head, do not be surprised.
The hair carries the woman. That's the mantra in my family. If your hair is fine, you're fine. Despite the lively atmosphere of the salon, it's not all fun. It can be costly, painful, and time consuming. She also adds, many Dominican kids don't have any say over how to style their hair. Their parents force them to get it straightened. This was evident in Pacheco's salon, where young girls tugged at the tight curlers in their hair, complaining that the dryers were burning their scalps. You're taught from a young age that your hair has to be straight to be pretty, to get a job, to get a boyfriend, to be called pretty by your mother. But there are young women on social media and even the DR who are fighting against colonial beauty standards.
Here's what you have all been seeing about the mystery product sample we launched a few months ago. Our mousse, my own muse, is finally here, and it took us almost 3 years to formulate and bring it to life. Here's what it looks like on wet hair. It's the only styler I've been using for the past 8 months, and here's why I love it. The curl definition is beautiful. Hair dries in less than half the time than other stylers. I get big, voluminous curls on day one. Here's what it looks like on dry hair. The shine is unreal. Hair is so soft and not stiff or hard. No need to break the cast. I'm not the only one who loves it, and if you're wondering if it works on different hair types, here it is. I'm so excited to introduce the final product of this line to you. My Own Muse is available now at missreeses.com and in our New York City salon.
When I started House of Curls, I wanted to create a brand that really represented me and my natural hair. I'm Shirley Tavares, the founder of House of Curls, where we encourage people to love and embrace their natural hair. Growing up Latina, there was a lot of stigma around natural hair. It was considered pelo malo or bad hair. The one thing that I tried to hide my entire life is the one thing that inspired my business. I knew it wasn't going to be easy. I didn't have any resources and I had never done anything like this before. Using Instagram to promote our t-shirts led us to get 169 pre-orders of these shirts before they even dropped, which was crazy. By simply sharing my story and putting my product in front of people, I was able to create a beautiful community. I even got my mom on board with wearing her natural hair in her 50s, which was a huge win for me. House of Curls has now grown into a movement. Building community with other like-minded business owners through resources like Meta Elevate has been huge for the growth of House of Curls. Use Meta tools like Instagram Reels and Stories to introduce yourself. People love seeing the founder's face and hearing their passion behind their brand. For anyone in the Latinx or Hispanic community wanting to take a leap of faith and start their own business, I say do it. Follow Meta Elevate to get support for your journey too.
Again, I don't think it's anything wrong with trying a different hairstyle. I just think we should be cautious on practices we normalize in our society and how it may align with anti-Blackness. What are your thoughts on this subject? Let me know down below, and thank you so much for listening to Books and Looks TV. Until next time.